penji tohyo samya ke kulhong tena je topda ten chirang su chu nyingkin tamje ke yang da chu niya te chi namjung ke chi chaptung ra wo tang tena ma yin ba daga zang gu chi lopsin ra wo chi nyong ku yo ba namba tena ma yin bu ton chi ma nam kha da nyam sim ting tan chi ge don de da chu de len chi ni si ge yo de la sam ne sam no ku lon de la ji to ma de ji de ba yin na de ngarang chu sama tik pa chim bo nyam sling kin chi kan sa yin de de ni da ngarang chu 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 ji sam la chu chi ni se ba de la de ni dum de chim bo yo ba dang Titumde de chuk ke thone he ba no sunam la jonro yore suntene sunan chimbo yobala tine tene sunam dimbe me samba nam jonro sungba na yinke ten so so ke chendala yang che tserengwa ne mi ba tene jawa lamro yungwa tene che samala yang che thori dang tene thamje je ba kompang la tha ni ren ro la so ba tanda ke tene kokap zambo yobate tene ngarang so ke tena long chu hi go yobare ten chama ke san ku long de ya pon ro che la ya ta na ro chi
So now we are receiving Dharma teachings, explaining the Buddha Dharma and receiving teachings of the Buddha Dharma. And so now, since I'm the one explaining the Dharma teachings, teaching them, even if I'm not able to always engage in practice on an ongoing basis, when I'm teaching the Dharma, I must change my motivation and really think that I want to benefit everyone who is listening to these teachings. So I try to really cultivate such a motivation. And then on your part, the one who is listening to the teachings, you should not regard the Dharma teaching as some kind of entertaining spectacle or just some normal class or so, but actually think that I'm listening to the teachings for the benefit of all mother sentient beings, limitless as space. And so this is the motivation we have to try to cultivate when we listen and explain the teachings. And so since we all are practitioners of the Mahayana, therefore, if we just have this short time for an hour, for example, as a Mahayana practitioner, if we engage in this hour with this motivation, then whether we teach the Dharma or listen to the Dharma, there will be a great result from that. Because through these words of the Dharma, and listening to the Dharma, then great merit is actually accomplished. And now, then everything that you think of will be accomplished in this life even. For example, you will have a longer lifespan and fewer illnesses and your activities be successful, and in future lifetimes you attain this birth in the higher realms and then the state of omniscience. So as a practitioner here, we have an opportunity for that, and therefore it is important that we use this time taking up this opportunity by cultivating such an excellent motivation.
Teni da lalin sobdu mande da ngarang ke nambak chu jand tomar lola zungyak chu teri Tata Rinpoche ke kachu xiyatana chi de yang se kache xuba ina yang kwa sarwa tang nandung lana me patana ko yore churansa jipare jipa injury tani chidro tamje ke trawa tra yomba kapso yang tarong lalin sobdu ma te teng sarun roya taring tang chiran roya ngarang ke ngene atna jiki yu ten tu ten ngarang ro na yang ti ton chung je je tsar hyoya ke sunam yubadang teni phala des hya dang dolan chi ala subadak koka yubad pe sunam chimbo yin sangkyo teni churanzo la tanak sunam chimbo yude ngarang king tapan jisira hyoyo.
The 37 Bodhisattva practices is actually a text that was actually the first text that I had memorized when first starting to study the Buddha Dharma. And now Rinpoche is giving teachings on this text. And actually, the more teachings I hear on this text, the deeper and more profound my understanding becomes. And the inner meaning of this text is really unsurpassed. And probably you have a similar experience. And so also now have answered have had the opportunity to answer some questions and also share some words on the 37 practices, that whenever we go into that, then the understanding becomes increasingly deep and profound. And I find that having an opportunity to do that is a great merit. And so I also can see that you possess great merit, and I rejoice in that.
Then da tereng ngaran so ke something level dan shrub level kone test yinge sho hitaya dan ra chado thya.
So today I will speak a bit about those two chapters on meditative concentration, the paramitas of meditative concentration and wisdom.
Then da something level dan shrub level da so ra in rikbu lamni ya mambo sung ya dan ra yusare. Je dang che sung zhen zhao la rikpa numbo wangbo rap tam che rikbu lamni ya tamchen chibalam triggeris wambo rain tamche tene danga tamenga klamni ya tamchen chibalam triggeris tene wambo ta te yimba tamche ta tepa klam triggeri tana sungtu yori na ya ta wambo rap ina tepa mogong kin rawatang wambo tama ina yang rikpa mogong tana mari ngarang so chama go yo bare Deba mena tene sanjik chu de nyamsal ya khram me de ware ripa chang bu thon ro ya yo mare yang ripa ka san ma tang ba ina deba chi bu ke ya nga zo la da ta ku yo mare ngo ten de deba tang ripa song de bu thoni da nyam ni go wa ndu dara tit lam ni dara tene ngaran so ka ripa ka lam ni ka da ro lam thong la su ba de so nyamsal tang ro tikola chungse ji yungri.
So now speaking of this, the paramitas of meditative concentration and wisdom is like a path of knowledge where we are introduced to this knowledge, and there's much to be said about that. In general, it is said that the teachings are given depending on the mental capacity, and that the path of imparting knowledge is meant mainly for those with the highest or sharp mental faculties. And then for those with medium mental faculties, there is the path of the oral instructions and the pitha instructions. And then for the rest, there is the path of faith and devotion. So this is how it is said in general. But then actually, one also cannot say that if someone is of highest mental faculty, one can do away with faith and devotion. And likewise, one can also not say that if one is of a lower capacity, that one doesn't need any knowledge. So all is necessary for everyone, really, because if you lack faith, then you will just not engage in Dharma practice. So only relying on knowledge is not sufficient, but also having no knowledge and only faith also will not be able to bring you to a decisive understanding of the teachings. So we need the union of knowledge and faith. And so through the development of knowledge, we come we are introduced to the state of vipassana, or a special insight, and that we then realize based on practice.
Then that's something that hirap deni chak shupa yiyung taburi ngaso karsi chaji ina deni sanji chi sala porgo yuna deni chadla shupa yiyunika guba hindu deni something that hirap nika karchimbori deni gumbolo doke something mi parayan hirap mi parayan something mi deni something Gangla Deni Chipe Sipae Jamso Naji Tower Tower Jason Tanasumbari. They do something to Hirami Latina, then Kansonko Jamso Tavetean, then Nagji and Nankitachana in Lamsanko Kam Chopa, the Raji Chad Yubandu, something to Hirami. The Karchimbo in Bejumsin, there is. Yak Jinana Choyuna Kolamsan Kamdura. Yak
Akichiva,
G. Yeah, Kokomba Yak Jis and Masakong Yoa. Then a Choyuna, Cho the Nimak Lamsan Kandora. Something the Hiram Yuna, then Koro Jamso Chimbotean, Dina Yin Lamsan Kandogri, song.
So meditation and wisdom are like the right and the left wings of a bird. If you want to fly to the state of Buddhahood, we need two wings. And so both are important, meditation and wisdom. Nagarjuna had said, if you have no meditation, you won't have wisdom. If you have no wisdom, you won't have meditation. So they mutually need each other. Also, then he continues saying that now if you have meditation and wisdom, then the ocean of samsara will be dried out, just like the footprint of a yak is being dried out when the sun shines. So the water that collects in the footprint of a yak will be dried out as soon as the sun shines. So in a similar way, through meditation, the perfection of meditation and wisdom, this vast ocean of samsara, of the three realms of samsara, will become dried out.
Da something level de la terre, hine rabd dimba lamtong ki Nyumung Nampran Jomba Shizen Zumi Yele Yanda Depai something Gomba Jarse Lalins Tatinang Ketambo something Layatang Tenzin Layatang Deni Hine Layat Sun Samsang J Tundajiba Yimbanda Wache Ting Goyorite Nangni Ko Desaje Koramda Yu Deba Chigri. Then the Tatambong as Shine Rab the Dean Zobana Kapsu Tambo Hine Gola Hieguri.
So then, first to begin with meditation, so that verse says, on 29, it says, disturbing emotions are destroyed by insight grounded in calm abiding. So calm abiding and meditative concentration. So often there's these terms of meditative concentration, or no samadhi concentration, or shamatha calm abiding, and often these terms are used interchangeably, are taught as having the same meaning, but also they are explained as having like there's also stages to them. And so we begin first with the stage of calm abiding.
Hine zombe kapsa ne zoyate ngaran soke sende hiwar hiwangani tene ngupoche kalamane gore la kuyur da hine zonde tere tene tena hiwa sende hiwa goni ngupotik tolapane pala tene tablam manda goyore ti tablam deramba yin rogo yore tablam deramba yin masong bayina Then Naran Suki Hinela and Reptoku Yomaris. hine den ro mata ba yina teni ngarang su something la ya te ngarang su ju le che to ko yo mares something de ju la ma chi ba yina teni ta nyumong ba la su ba tan ye pa yomzi ke nim po na wo te lam thong la ya te ju le che to ko mi pare lam thong de ju la ma chi ba yina sang je ya mi pare
So shamatha, calm abiding, is first of all, the mind must be able to abide, sustain a tranquil and calm state, thought-free state. And in order to dwell within such a tranquil state, to achieve such a state of abiding, there are 9 different methods. And it's important to follow them step by step. If one doesn't do that, then shamatha, calm abiding, will not be accomplished. If shamatha is not accomplished, meditative concentration or meditative absorption will not arise. And if that doesn't arise, then the insight, the special insight of vipassana, that actually is then the antidote to the afflictive emotions, will also not arise. And if vipassana does not arise, one cannot attain enlightenment.
Ngaran zu sem de tata ka sem de pu chunjong na yin sha de yore pu chunjong de ko mele zam me chi chol zam me chi tene tanda ke che ya ga to zo ha mo ma tanda ke na ba ji cha de yore de pu chunjong de ya phama ge ta lam la rembe ya lab ke sam sa dang to lo chon dang de la so ba la ko yore wa tene tina yiwe nga so ke tambo semte yog tola pa ne ya de lab go yor ngaran so tara kamsom lan du kam zumi kam so kamsom tene ni ngaran so du po ke kam la ya de nga so semte ha jang ga ra pa tene yol la be zong thong na tene mek shi ba de zog tola chok cha de ba dra tu tene na shi ba de drag tola chok cha de ba chok za ma ze thon ro yor de ana yin ke yin da ga tro riza la so ba chi pa re tanda indu ta de so lon tro de wala tene tro yong go yor tene me pa la yo ba ro ta yo pa la me pa ka ko wan de ba la so ba chan jang ton tene yin ro yor tene tara te chung na tene sem number yin we ma nyumong cheva chana ne songdo tene da sem de ka se yin de wa na tene nyumong ba la ya te so nang chewa nang gi cha de ko chewa gang de ne do na chewa ni da tene je tok chan zong de tene so che ya ma do mi de wa ro chi ro
kan do chewa ya
chewa chana ne chewa jap chana ko ya ma na ton ro gro ya ma se ro gro
me che kap sana
pena nga tukdang na simchin da je ti nga ga chewa de kal ne do na ti nge so de onda che jang ko hya ro ra
tukdang khan shin ro ra
tukdang hya o ti na yin je we nga ran so sem de yin chan zong de ti nga ran so la cha zo ko nyung mo ba ke ta nga ran so chom cho ro cha de yo ba re de en de ta nga ran de le ji ti ton jang go yo ra
nyumong da chewa na shin ra
nyumong ba de chewa na ya nyumong chewa cha na ne.
So currently our mind is like the mind of a child. So a child doesn't know what to be careful about fire or water. It doesn't know what it should and what it shouldn't do. And so a parent needs to teach all of that step by step to the child, how to eat food, how to dress, and so forth. And so in a similar way, we need to gradually train the mind to abide still in a tranquil state. And so we speak about the 3 realms of samsara, the desire realm, form realm, and formless realm. And in the desire realm where we're at, the mind of beings is extremely coarse. It's very coarse. And that means that when we see an object, then immediately we are attracted to it. We are taken over by the object. Or when you hear a sound, the sound immediately takes you over. Right away you go there. It's not that we are ready to be taken over. We will always be taken over. And so the same applies to any of the other sense objects like touch and smell and so forth. It's the same. So we have a very strong grasping at the true existence of things that actually do not exist, and also we deny the existence of existing things and so on. In the Bodhisattva, it says, the mind of a distracted person, a distracted mind, to a distracted mind, the afflictive emotions are like kind of bite you or kind of take you like this, like a kind of like an animal with fangs, you know. It just takes you and grabs you and bites you. So just like, and then that means that the death of your awareness. Just like when you like bite into, like, I don't know, if you take a bite into a mosquito, it dies, for example. So anyways, what it means is that the afflictive emotions, we're just ready to be distracted all the time. We're always distracted, and that's why the afflictive emotions just completely overtake us. So the afflictive emotions are like these fangs that overtake us.
Then the dang around so hiba yol slow pan troya den cham yone. The simple ga go yo mare. Then around so ke ngupon da chungchong ma je tene ndone yapa enari sem ke yingo lo charjing no ne. Then titol sem de ma tambon jo. Tela tambo tela joba nang dun joba la ko yore. Sem ne go nang ke tambo nang dun joba. Te pena pete ya yore. Drama comparison do meto kalman ba do tina yibine macho ke semte ngobo de tola tambo manjo patela nangdun jobas.
So first we need to stop this awareness from being projected outward all the time, going outward. But we don't do that in a forceful way. So what we first do is, now, the first of those nine steps of calm abiding, of placing the mind, of settling the mind, is we place an object, a small object before us, in front of us. And then we fixate our mind onto that object. That is the first step of those 9 steps of mental abiding, and it's called the placing inward or inner placement. And so that is just like a bee settles on a flower, so it comes to rest on a flower. And so just like that, the mind settles on this object. It comes to rest on this object. So that's the inner placement.
Teni jun den joba ta jun de joba zo de tola teni yang ya go yore la re kandar mundur tu na ma ya go yore tem se ko yo zan je yang sem de yin ba la yang song ai na de gen de ma de tola yang se mi pa in jo sa che ga gang la ma jun ro ti ne yang sen joba de la jun de joba la go yore. Teni lin den joba la go lin de joba la ya de yang sem de pa sro tron ro di yang teni cher sro tron ro wa yo ba den sam ya ne de mi ba de ka la yang jar ma yo go de la la go lin den joba.
So then the second step is to the continuous placement, and so is that not enough to just place your mind on the object and then again become distracted, but once the mind rests with the object, it has to stay there. So you have to sustain that continuum by sustaining, keep it going. So you continue it on. So that is the second step, the continuous placement. And then the third step is like the kind of returning placement, where when the mind does become distracted and goes outward, then you stop the outward distraction and bring the mind back to its object.
Teni yiba nyevar joba la ya de nyevar joba la ya de ta hi lin de yang se cher ya so ya cha de teni cham cha nga so ke shiba de suro lo cho da ha mo ba ke chung je jung yo re de hine ke chung re de la singwa de gu ba ni zo yo re da singwa de gu ba zo de singwa la ya de sem man te pon de cha ya de ha ko go ya pe kar chim bor singwa de la rakpa de chawa ni yo re singwa rakpa de ina che da ha so so ke ngu bo je khala mi pa te ne de ya ba de si po mi ba de la si po ma yin ba che ti to la de ba je la yang ha chang ke che te po ma yin ba che si la ma si la ro cha de ba de singwa rakpa singwa chamo de so teni bede koranta te la ro ta hi ke mi pa che khala ten so mi pa de la ne ta ni kho wa tang ten te ma yin ba ke ko bede koran teni mi pa sa bo tin mi ba chang ro ba de singwa chamo
The travel, right?
singwa chamo
Korak pata mara pet ni khoi de.
mari chamo re ta chamo la ya de be to ro yo da ha ja si bo mi ba yo sa cha la cha ro ba
Then number 4 is the close placement, and so that is after you have repeated step 3 over and over again of bringing your mind again and again back to the object. So sometimes what happens then is that we don't even notice that the consciousness is distracted outward, and that's actually one fault of calm abiding that arises. There's basically 2 faults that can arise in calm abiding, and that is mental sinking, and one is mental agitation. Mental sinking is when you lose your mental clarity, and it's very important to recognize that. And to this loss of clarity, there are actually 2 kinds, the subtle and the coarse. The coarse loss of clarity is when you're first staying with your object, and then it becomes less clear. So you're still sort of there, you're with the object, but the mind has sunk into a state of unclarity. You're just barely there with awareness. So the mind sank into unclarity. And then the subtle mental sinking or loss of clarity is when you then completely lose all of your clarity. So then the mind becomes, the clarity becomes subtle, and that means you might fall asleep and so on.
Na goba la de chien ba ne ka so de nga rang zu sam la nyomong hyuk chim bo ji na la de ni de rang yin ge goba cha de yo re de kan sa nga so mi pa de la ro yo ro mi pa la na re mi tin la na re Teni goba yimba te yang slow ke che dra tang dan mrang upon da mra ke che chin se ne yang mi ba la ro te so la goba la kan tar singwa de goba de ni tara hine ke chung che hyu ni cha yo de ni ka du sungwa ina yang teni so so ke timba ke sim ba to ni timba de shi yin zo ni yong ge yo re ta te kar chim bo cha ge
And then there is agitation, the other fault of calm abiding. And so that is when, for example, very intense thoughts and afflictive emotions arise. They negatively affect your meditation because you lose your concentration, you lose your object of focus. Or you hear a sound or anything else, any other condition that causes you to lose your focus on the object, that causes you to think. So both of these faults of a lack of clarity and mental agitation, those 2 are the greatest faults of shamatha. And whenever they occur, it is important to recognize them with mindfulness. So to apply these 2 measures, that is mindfulness and introspection.
Towards Sipala, toward Joba, Tate, Karen Chado Yurisina, samsanga so mi pa de kala mi tin kala samno de pha te ne de ga den de bukap so yang samsa jo sem ji jo wa knyam da ran kin ke jian ya de ne je des mga wan da ko cho wa jian ya den rai yong bu ne kap so de ne da da ting in ji ge yong tin la so ba jung ze tin yang jia chen bu tin so na hin ne kap so da ran de so yin wa le zhe yo lo ting in ji ge yong tin la so ba ji tin sem la to wa la so ba jie ji ne yang de mi ba de ka la yang ba jun tu ne jo go ba de ne to wan jo ba to war si ba.
Then the fifth step is subduing or pacifying placement. And so that is when sometimes you do stay with your object of focus, and then while you stay there, suddenly sometimes a feeling of sadness also arises. Like you just have this natural feeling of just feeling unwell or just feeling uneasy inside. And at that time when that happens, again, think a little bit about the qualities of samadhi, of concentration, the qualities of that. So we don't want to think too much because then that would be considered distraction according to shamatha. But think enough so that you can lift yourself up to a state of joy and again come back to the object of focus. So that is the kind of pacifying placement.
Drupa de la shivar siba la ya ta yin wa ne ser xia go yo ra de ne mayin pa ne sanji kun ji lam yin wen lam la du ji par che yu song ne da mi nga ma bo na yang se song de de den de shivar siba la ya de su su ju la yin wa to sam ji ba na ya ha ko to ni yin wa de pang ne de ne ba de la shivar siba ka re xia go ris ne yin wa de ma xia go yo ris.
So let's say the fifth one would be the subduing, because the sixth one is the pacifying placement. And so here, regarding pacifying distraction, so it is said, non-distraction is the path of all the Buddhas. The path of distraction is the path of the maras and obstacles. So this is how it is explained in many of the Buddhist instructions again and again. And so when you practice calm abiding and a slight distraction occurs, then you try to bring whatever you're distracted by, first of all, you recognize that and you bring the mind back, you pacify the distraction. So that's the pacifying placement.
Dumba the number hiwa sawa. Number hiwa the hajang hiwa wata druba de la zang hajang hiwa. De kanda charsana matsu nyumomba le chaya ba na chado dang ngajar te so des hidang de so lutuna des chawan ro jilun jogu do. De chawan jogo ya de la korang ton chara yimi de mari. Chara de sosulo la jing sosu ha ko mo perna ngara so man yo sa de la 차도 지엔의 히라 하고 요말 초후 요말 히당 지엔의 람상 소소소로 nga 히당 지 소사요 초후 요로 차도 등문지야 깔레 카볼 되네 딜 값 따라 넘버 시버시바 다 시버 두바데 시버 나나 네 따라리 드니 제 데드 제 히네게 초로안도 냠도 데 스지 어레 되네 뜻소비데 제양 소소 다 히우 제 히네도 도 딩아자도 지행로 뜻소 하고 그 Hine drum the king mambo ke saja jimbo todo the nordo mambo yorta. Sonza da da napra hiwar shawa zidilbe goji chimbo yori.
Then number 7 is the utter pacification. So it's like the intensified version of number 6. So 7 is utterly pacified. And so it refers to the more subtle afflictions, especially like jealousy and pride. In comparison to an affliction like hatred, they are more subtle. But in general, in terms of their function, they are not necessarily more subtle. But the reason why they are called more subtle is because we don't normally recognize them. Many of us all the time have them, but we rarely recognize an emotion of jealousy, for example. For example, when you get really angry, you immediately recognize that you're angry. But it's very difficult to recognize jealousy. So in the context of the sixth step, the pacification, so here the mind is rather pacified and you have gained some experience of calm abiding. And you might develop some pride in that, thinking that now I have developed this state of calm abiding. And often, actually, people even mistakenly view their state of calm abiding, think that this actually is Mahamudra, and actually it isn't. So for that, we need the seventh step, the utter pacification.
Telam betsu yubu tonen jogo yore. Da tsu kapsa che shine jepa, shine ke necha jepa, tang tsu kapsa tene yang susora che lu ke tang yi la Xinjiang ke dewa zo je dewa na chim chim che lu Xinjiang dan sem Xinjiang la ndo. Tanda ke dewa chim chim che ya tanda sar tene te ndu yang dewa de la che cha ne. Tene yang shine Nipa Langa Yin and Rondo at Ranikayor. Some the Tampage or Pamodraba Con Lama Chula team the Ravetin, Con Hinet and Argum de do. The Ni Con Kata Hinek, Luke Devatan, Yig Deva, Hinek Alpa Neban, Nepatan, Yamdola, Tini Himjang Devat, so Chihesarwa. Chetanate, Congalama Hudota, Nat and Rayam the Kariri Hudu. Oh, that's your Tonland of the songs. Tonlam. Then sees the Pamud about Sapon, Tapurum Bochin, then not the Ryan Gondo, then Tonlam top the Sumundo Lama take Huditin, Taburum Bocheke, Hilanchundo Saratang, and so Pupaka Pa Larua, then Choran can Tonlam Teranga the Gagari Sonra. That they do then Nandum Karisina. Da Hineg nature Jepa to Sola, Zichipa to Solam Betsun Chimbowe, Mavena and Xinjiang Jetes Devan on Chimba Jewalatin, young the Betsun to so Lulun Royake, Ninkayobari, then do Jebatella, Zichik and Bego.
Number 8 is to place the mind in single pointedness, and that also implies that an effort is still needed in single pointedness. Because otherwise, what happens at this point is that you have achieved a certain level of stability. You abide in a tranquil way for an extensive period of time, and this causes your body and your mind both to become quite pliant. So there's this pliancy of body and mind that is experienced as a very blissful experience. And it is possible that one then becomes attached to this blissful experience. So there is a danger that one begins to cling to this experience of shamatha. There's one story of Pangmo when he relied on a lama, and so this lama gave him meditation instructions on calm abiding. And so he practiced calm abiding, and he developed this physical and mental pliancy and achieved quite a blissful state of calm abiding. And he asked his lama about that. So he shared his experience in meditation, and then he asked his lama, what does this mean? And the lama replied, it means that you have obtained the path of seeing. So then later, Pangmo met with Gampopa, and he told Gampopa about that encounterance. And he said that this Lama told me that I have attained the path of seeing. And so Khenpo listened while he was eating his bowl of tsampa, and then he broke off some part of his tsampa, and he said, you know what's better than your path of seeing is this piece of tsampa. And so that is so basically that was an instruction for him to continue making an effort in single pointedness. Even though some pliancy and some stability of shamatha has arisen. So what this step means is that when this stability arises and you feel physically and mentally pliant, then there is a danger that you will relax your effort in meditation. And so therefore the 8th point is to continue your effort in single pointedness.
Ta gupa de la tini nyambaran jobas ta tine gabs ta churang lulu cha charais nyambaran joba hiba den bezor ma go churang tini mikpa de kala pha mikpa te chamjing an tini churang de taba de na yun ringbo de ne taba ta te so ge yong tin ji ge yori de gupa ke ne gabs ta tine gabs de la dosem che ji ba la nga so kham song go wan de sen dosem ina de something ke tarate nyamnyong de tuba ina 다른 되게 희내데 시바락밖에 나는 전적고 요 차와라 저거요 말이 희와랑다 저거요 말이 대이나야 다 something 게 something 담보 토야게 저라나 마이나고데 탑차와리 디네갑스 대인데다 희내저지데 배면서 갈침보 대치당 그때 샤준라고 지리 다때 치당 라바인 이나야 간사 수술도 나만라와 유지리 저랑 희내 야보 마공 긴제게 Chitang sanga dorji tibu lam la ya de nyelam cha de yora sangje ya la. Tseje lu ju la sangje to ya de na je ke tablang cha de yori. Yine chu shine ya bo meba che ke sanga lam dorji tibu lam huba na manta yang jewa chiduk zang go gri la sung ju yor da sangje ya la. Chu shine ya bo ro sumba je ke sanga dorji tibu lam huba na lo ju ni nan sangje gri son da 샤준 송마 yor yine da te ganza chicha bla sumara ganza susul tu ba ina yang da ganza suso ka chazo golo shirabri zungri to sol te ne yang to tong tong na chama dyul je tamkin ya yo jirewa.
And then there's the 9th step of shamatha, and that is the even placement. So you're abiding evenly. And so at this point, the mind is completely even. So that is very natural. There is no, actually at this point, it is effortless. And effortless means that you can place your mind on an object, and by merely placing it on the object, it stays there for any given period of time. So in the 3 realms of samsara, this is kind of the pinnacle of the desire realm mind. And then the next step that goes beyond that is meditative concentration or absorption. And from the perspective of meditative concentration, this 9th step of shamatha, calm abiding, still is considered a coarse level. It is not yet even a subtle level of meditative absorption. So from that perspective, it is not a true calm abiding yet, but it is the foundation, the necessary foundation to achieve meditative concentration or absorption. For that, shamatha is really very important. And so now these 9 steps on how to achieve that is now in a general sense. And of course, every person is different and accomplishes that in a different time span too. For example, the Vajrayana is called the swift path, whereby one may attain enlightenment in a single lifetime, in a single body. It is a skillful path that may lead to enlightenment in one lifetime. But then it also depends on the individual. For example, it is said that if a practitioner who does not have the foundation of shamatha as a basis, if such a person enters the Vajrayana path, it is said that they will attain enlightenment after 16 lifetimes. And it is also said that if a person who enters the Vajrayana with a foundation of having already accomplished shamatha, they can attain enlightenment within 12 years. But again, this is generally speaking, and everyone is different, and it mainly really depends on the level of one's own wisdom and also one's diligence in the practice. So that really determines how quick these practices will be accomplished.
Dimdin jokba, chejin jokba, chepa mebaran jokba, lunji drubaran jokba, jokba ze yibzi. Tambo dimdin jokba zonde, tambo nangla tahin jogor zode, tine gabso lo drim, lo zechik pungane pa lo yi semsam dimde, tene timikba ta kalpate go atela, dimdin jokba. Tene chejin jokba la yate, Koran ying around so same the color your dollar, Yapa the Yam the lams ne toko yomare. Ne marabdu, the ne ko check Yanjar copa, the color nechi, Yanjar nechi, the lab changing you. The ne chepa maybe easy lamdu, the ne Juma chepa, Tarahati Hinekata, nature jepa capsuta, chepa me band and Juhutia, chepa me banjo patang, the ne lunge dropata, go back to sucaps, the ne lunge dropa, yivzis and the yivzi, Talando na yet in an amanda huria. So done.
So then there are there are the tools that make us accomplish shamatha, and they are fourfold. It is called the 4 ways of engaging the mind. There's 4 levels. First is focus. Second is like a deliberate placement. Third is a non-deliberate placement. And then third is a spontaneous accomplishment. So first, the focus is where you first begin to focus the mind inward. You place the mind on its object and you focus it there single-pointedly. Then second, the deliberate placement is where at this point you are not yet able to just place the mind on the object and it just stays there. So it needs some deliberation. You need to make it stay there again and again. And then third is non-deliberated placement. And so here it becomes basically natural. You just stay continuously with the object without having to intentionally or deliberately place it on the object. It just stays there because the quality of the ability of abiding is stronger. And then the fourth one is the spontaneous abiding or accomplishment. And so that is the accomplishment of shamatha, where the mind then really stays still with stability. So these are the 4 ways of engaging the mind.
Tuputab del Sosogalama gave hini tan lopon la sobala, country the Kandavi negoris, Mipa Kandavi tegori, Tene Lunam Nang Chubdin la Kandavi negori, Tene Tenazone, Tene Lama Gavishini la country sure, Tene Sosok te tune, Tenachi. Niba de Samba layate, Tene Sosok te Samnota, or Tenda Labat, Tendavi nego samne, or Tenda Hakovatone nebate, Sampatop. Timba the Shivin la ni logal Zahurtara. Then the Timba Sarawa the Shivin Goramas, then Gomja de Tet Pe Karchembotre. Timba la the Namdo the Gin I Hakon Quintal Timba la Cure. Shivin Goramas, Seva the Namdo Gion by Namdo the Pangoya Kete Goranagi or Chad Yorova or Tendu, Teni Loal. Then it take a la Zundri. Danteni ta zungru la ya de katse kar chembo yin train lalin sodum na rumba chi song song no ten de zung de de mi de mrong ba pe na par de sim ba zhong na ni zung de chama la ro ba jing kin cha de yo wa o ten de zung de dang teni tenda cha ba na teni kale teni so so ke tarate mi pa te tam mi sa te sa ke tarate mi pa yo la te sa ke yor te ni po teni ja ta mo man di ba na yin chan de ta te lan di pa top zin ta top jog te yang hine du zi kin la cha de yor
Ispati trupa rave.
di pa top de trupa
Tempa den shishin shibarwa.
timba sumba hi yin yi ba
Shima shiba. Ni ngapa?
ma ba zung
Zendro. Di trupa di. Di driba dobra.
di pa top jog te
And then there is a few more tools for the practice of shamatha. There is 6 powers. So first, there's the power of tunes and a karatunre. Tumpetop. Tambote. Sorry, the power of hearing. So first of all, you need to hear from your teacher by asking him questions, for example. How do I need to practice shamatha? What is the physical posture that I need to assume, like the 7-point posture and so on, and what do I have to do with my mind and so on. Secondly is the power of reflection. So then when you practice, you remember what you have heard. Oh, he said I should do this or do that. So you know what you should do. You reflect on that. Then the third power is the power of mindfulness, and the fourth power is the power of introspection, and these are to be considered separate because they perform a slightly different function. Mindfulness is like the kind of the watchman and the guard. Actually, there's the guard, and then introspection is like the watchman who looks further. And these two are actually very important for meditation. So the guard of mindfulness knows when the afflictive emotion is there. And introspection, the watchman of introspection, knows before it arises. So it sees when an afflictive emotion could arise. So that's why we consider them to be separate. And number 5 is diligence. And Rinpoche mentioned that this morning in the teachings on the 37 practices. The paramita of diligence is really indispensable for our practice. And all the other paramitas must be supported by the paramita of diligence. And so then finally the 6th is the power of like merging, mixing. And so what happens is that when you continue to focus your attention on your focal object, then finally the mind becomes merged with it, just like mixing a tea with milk.
Sancho Landrona de Sondo, Hine Yinla Nam Be, Rapton Be, ne Gomze Jang, Lon Tonta Tag Jang, Tenzin, Japan Major Sondo.
Lola me.
The Churan Kishineke Yinla Tara Malabson, to so chat some Tony Majepaina, then Churan Betsun Chimbutone, Hine Jabaina, and Dokale Caporis, Nandun Terida.
Changchusam Lam Drume.
Sancho Lamji Domin.
So when we accomplish shamatha, when we practice shamatha, it's important that all of these branches are complete. It is that when all these branches are complete, then shamatha is accomplished easily. But if they're not complete, in this text called the Lamp to the Path of Enlightenment, on the Path of Enlightenment, it says, if all of these branches of shamatha are, if any of those branches is incomplete, so if they're not complete, then even if you practice, meditate with a great effort, it will be difficult to accomplish shamatha.
다 신에게 내쳐야 보요나 다 디신에 sarjang도 다랑아서 적친값서 따와르고 조야 dāni gōmbā jāmsō chō yā sōngdō, chō yā yīndō sōngdō, jētāng chō yā nītē, lāpā yīnā. Tā tē tam chī rāmchīn rīwā sā, yāng kāshē kō dzokchīn lāmdē xīnē rī kia lāw rī sī, lāng kī yō rī lāw sōng, yīnā rāwā rāwā yō sārvā, yāng rāwā rāwā lā nōr ndō rī sārvā kāshē. O tēndi, tēni, 담보 ngaran suk sengu necha de karchi mori ngasum koala yeng ni koala kordu yore mato ke ngaso semde neche nen koala yeng dewa tara khars marwa ina te koala ni pathaya la keji reverse na ke rite necha chi bo so se sumai na ina tara ngaso lo chung kare ki hindo sina semde yeng che chung do mato neche chung mato tende ne pa de zo ji gore da ne pa de zo che ba na sengu yungdi sarwa teni jeba zoba tamje remji kompar tong chogo yore dambo choran sem neba de mis sumaina teni sarwa tang jeba zoba so lelabo marwa tendu ta hine parte dam be go yoris
so when a good level of stability in shamatha is achieved, it's actually quite similar to something that is mentioned in the Dzogchen teachings. In Dzogchen it speaks about four kind of ways of placement, and one is placing the view like resting, or four kind of resting. So resting in the view like a mountain, or resting in meditation like an ocean. So these are just two of those four, but so that what may lead one to think that Dzogchen is the same as shamatha practice, and while they have many similarities, it often happens that people do make the mistake of thinking that they're exactly the same, equivalent. So first of all, the ability to abide calmly is important, but then we cannot say that this is all there is to it. But this is our main focus in the beginning, because the reason why we wander in samsara is because we are distracted. We don't wander in samsara because we are settled and placed, but because we are constantly distracted. We don't abide. And so in general, of course, to focus only on the aspect of stability is also said to be a hindrance to liberation, if it's only that. But to us in the beginning, that is also our biggest fault. It is that of distraction. We have the fault of distraction, not the fault of abiding. And so that is why we need to consider the quality of abiding as most important in the beginning. And so then from that quality of abiding, the other qualities of clarity and increasing and completion will arise. But if you don't have the aspect of this abiding ability in the beginning, then all these other qualities of clarity and so on will also not arise. So we need to make an effort in a practice of calm abiding.
Teni dati kaune ta ngaso kam kawan desena teni ndokam zukam zumi kam za something to soche azukam na tsa yorite ngaran sola something rya yore ngaran sulutin dala something rya yo ba indu teni something te he ba na tarate hine rab de dem lam thong ke lam thong te ta ma hiram na ma hin resar hine rab de dem lam thong ke nyumo na bra jo ba his ne zumi igala yanda de ba something me wo the something la ya de kare resina something la ya de chirta gebo ke logic la ko yore gebo lo te teni mi yor di mikin da wore te mi pa te sa te gala teni pa che chi de ne dong ke tela something la ta godung da te re something la te.
So speaking from the perspective of the three realms of samsara, so the desire realm, form realm, and formless realm, through the practice of meditative concentration, we come to the form realm. And so but still, it is something that we can accomplish, the practice of meditative concentration. And so, first, it says here, this meditative concentration that transcends the four formless absorptions. First of all, this term, meditative concentration, itself is a mind that is virtuous, and it is focused on a certain focal object single-pointedly. So it is single-pointedly focused on a focal object, and so that is the meditative concentration.
That's something that something something tambo ni ba sumba yeba la. That the solan here be mambo yore te ina yanta. Tiene sorts of Cuba, something tambo lo tokjus. That is so something going over neck up so. Then so look, Nyamyong la, Tine, so Coranzo take Lord Rambat at the Rano in Rohoyore. That he net can do some chechipa, Hinet and drop sardu. Teni that dates I'm going to eat some coyo mare. Kara, Matsam, Junsin Karzana. Teni ya something la tu ba ina teni something ni ba sumba to sola te ba na yuntin chimbo yo ba teni tarong da hi den du ba kamjin du sem de ri de du ko sem de rakpa ri de rakpa endu te la teni something tambo te ke ta man du ba khanna rakpa ni de to ba si teni chuba sta something ni ba la tele dewa chiwa yo ba Koranzuke de la Nyamyam Ravochin de Tehakone, then the Samdi Tambo Nyamslingi Kanza de la Toba the Chubanis, Tendayobari. Then is Samdi Tambo la Tokju, Chetanila, Mambo Shake Yore, the Tatam Sochi, the Tokju, Toba Laya, the Carriers in a Koha, Masuke Tahin Dusem, Tsechi Bajin Robsoma, Hinek Tabgolatin. Te la yang tarong rakpa ka namba chi ya ta tna thong ko yore te ria ri de yore ha jang hiwa ka namba te cha yo marwa te endu te la rakpa ni dun thong si te la to pa la gu yore teni ya something ni bang la ya ta yo ne gap so sta something ni ba la gawa yore dewa yore oh ta te so ngarang la thog go ya te so ri da samne ta te so la ya samno ton ji te la chu ba la ri korang la lo na zo te ni yore teni something tambo te la teni tingani tambe zo something tambo la tok chu ni ra
ni ga yore arim tambo te la remba ni yore
tok chu ni
가와던 대화 한 번을 랩게라
산 말서 가 대화 산디니 바는 안 로라
근데 뒤쳐봐라
아 뒤쳐봐
뒤쳐봐라
something tambo okay 다 노발라 라파 따서 something 다 something 제긴데 something 라 되니 효아니 때서 가와데 대화야 따서
밍 갈라거든
주바
주바
야 당게들 주바라 마 당게들 또바라도 te samara yore ta ko chile
something ni ba de chupara tok chunone
chupa ore
so there's 4 levels of meditative concentration and of course there is much to be said about that, but just to give a brief outline. The first level of meditative concentration, the first and the second are the first one is conceptuality. So here, when you just have completed the single-pointedness of shamatha, and you move on to the first level of meditative concentration, and so then as you move on in your mind, you begin to see the qualities of the first and second and so different levels of meditative concentration. So you're not satisfied with just the single-pointedness of shamatha, but you want to move on with meditative absorption. And so the first level of meditative absorption is still related to a mind of the desire realm, because there still is, from the perspective of the other levels of meditation, a very coarse state of mind. It's still, in comparison, rather coarse. The mind of a desire realm being, whose mind is very coarse. So that's the first meditative absorption. There is still some of conceptuality. Yeah? Then, so from this perspective, the mind is coarse and not completely tranquil. And then on the second level is that of like enjoyment or the enjoyment, and that is on the second level an experience of joy and bliss arise. So that's the second level of meditative concentration.
다 something nipa kapso something tambo ko tokyu jindo ya lo to so chama rakpa ni de cha de yore ten de so chama pang ro ko yore something nipa kapso he something nipa kapso zo ndo ka le te nyambar jo ndo sna gawa ta dewa ni la nyambar jo na tanda chi ko yore teni something simple kapso teni gawa te something nipa ke yungtin ro gawa chi gawa dewa ni utira te gawa de pha pang do ne teni dewa te zo ni zong yore teni something
so gawa pang na teni dewa zo zong yore
gawa pang dewa de zo zong ro
ti gawa dan dewa
chiba gawa ta dewa tes chepa yoro something there something nipa kapso gawa de dewa yo thya then something sumba kapso something sumba ke ta something sumba ganza de ma something nipa ganza generate something nipa ma ta yong something nipa la gawa de dewa ni de gawa de sem de rakpa cha de yoris then de gawa de pang ne dewa chum dong de ne dewa de la nyam su ki yoro then is something yip ne kapso ta dewa de yang then rakpa ni de ta ne then ta chowa ta nyam ngala ne ke yoris that something to so te sang ko po sa bo yore le la po no yo mare ta te
then the in a second meditative concentration, that mind sees the conceptual state of the first level as coarse. So one abandons that conceptual coarse state here. And mainly in the second concentration, one rests within a state of joy and bliss. And then in the third concentration, one distinguishes between joy and bliss. So one sees joy as coarse and abandons it, and one strives after bliss. So one dwells in bliss. And then in the fourth concentration, one recognizes bliss as coarse, and one abandons that and then abides within a state of equanimity.
something like that ye sona som tong chula devar ne something yuntin drip something
This got tambode.
tong chula devar ne something yuntin drip something
Yuntin drip
simjing ke tong si something si something la yawa to som tinan ta tambo de nga chol pe kar chembo cha de yor tambo te ki
Tambode kare.
tong chula devar ne something nga so ke ta nga so ta le ka te ro
That's keyboard ma thong bara.
tong chula devar ne something main the phajer yen nga nando ta
You know, deva sena pata tambote ba.
de padar de
And so now we went out there with the explanation, and now we come back again. And so there's only three divisions of meditative concentration. There's three kinds. One is to see, to regard the phenomena that one sees as lacking bliss. And second, to see the qualities of meditation, of absorption. And then third, to the concentration that acts for the benefit of sentient beings. So the first one, to see that phenomena lack any bliss, that is actually the most important one for us.
통구치를 대화네 봐 저다 timba냐 야 현용 그요로 다 timba냐 야 이게 timba냐 야는 담보 르 timba냐 와 야바스 달르 timba냐 와 야바텔라 ngārso ka māmbu gōng yore tēla. Tēnā de tsō chikhyū de tāmbu nēchā de tsō wē nā gōng yore. Nēchā tsō wē gōng de sēm de kāwā mīkpā tēpā yā na tī kāla nē nē. Māmtā yā pēr nā wōk tōng nē rā wā jīk tsibā yā na cho da jong a ni hyo da ngap ju da zi se ji ben na wo wo pas tong zel lin pa tong wo ben na pa tong zel lin ya re zi ba na ngap ju da ni hyo da ngap ti pa ro sa la de ni ne cha ji ge de la ben na ji wo da le ne na jiwo la ne to ba da mong yam no go la
jiwo la ne ge
ta te kawa ne na de ke yore ina lu timba ne yo ba zu de tambo lu de kala timba de pa ya go yoro
di jiwo la ne ge ra
ta nga chong go zu de jiwo ni zong na de ke yore kawa zong na de ke yora
teni man ro ge che re
ta te nge la de man ro a lo ya ni ka yore
ina tambo go zu de te vera tema kare ni sho ngap chu phala ti jiwo jibo ne ge yo la ge ra
hine de yabo me de ne to ko ma da pa na wo pa ji dong cer ji dong ce ka hi le mi ba jing go ji wo le mi ba de ba na la sang la no ge da de ne hine ne cha yabo na tim ngap ju se zi long yo re si da rang ne to go ngo de ka
So the first one, now the meditative concentration of seeing, the recognizing all the phenomena you see as lacking bliss. So that refers to the practice of the 4 ways of placing the mind. So 4 placements of mindfulness. The first one of these 4 is to place one's mindfulness on one's body. So one focuses on one's body. One begins with focusing on a certain part of one's body while observing or counting one's breath. For example, you can start. One starts normally with the crown, the head area, and then you inhale and you exhale and you keep focusing on your crown. And someone who doesn't have any stability in calm abiding, they will lose awareness of the crown after one exhalation, inhalation already. But if you can hold the attention on the crown chakra for 50 or so breaths, inhalation and exhalation, so 50 rounds of breathing, then it's a sign that you have achieved a good state of calm abiding.
Tato when Lucasa Kalamik Pat Tambo Nature te so vital John Darchi. Te John Yabo to the Tal Lutimba Yaba zone the Tini Ta Lutimata Parangila Santa. Tini Lute Masambarangila Samata. Tatara when the Tini Samaton do Dochala Sopa. Danzi, Nanzi, Rapa La Sopa to Sotanima, Jomukuyore. Te and the Ta. They have same take John Yabu tap the ta or Ngol to buy in a young, Ngo de Matabarangi, Chagarangi, then or Matambarangi Rija, say. Ta call a chapa shimba chin to such a metal, Samando. The needs are Kale, Zubo, Chahire, in the Omipate, and the need lot at Sibo, when go a Timbo, when take mud and Rotokuyorua, the need to drive in the ta. Lutin Banyava Yaba, Zutat, and Raven, social Lutella. Then huge and Tataba Demasoke, Cherwalula. In a gang, the Chapinka Madota call, young, the Duta, Lutin Banyava Yabate, Yamli Godundo, so Terang, so Lula Luchinzi, Luchi Baranzim, Bichinzi, the Sopatoriachi, so check.
And so then you can move this focus to different parts of your body. And so here, first of all, you have to develop a stability with the first part of the body. And then, for example, the head, the crown. So you have gained some stability with that. And then once there's some close mindfulness on this particular part of like the head, for example, then you reflect on the impermanence of your body and how it is composed of impure substances and so on. And in this way, such reflection overcomes our coarse attachment and identification with the body. So you reflect, for example, now you've focused on your head, your crown, and gain stability. Then you think that it is impermanent and it's composed of blood and many other impure substances. There's nothing to be attached to this head, to this crown, and so on. And so then once you have done that, then you move on to the next body part and then the next body part. So you have attained some stability and then you move on to the next body part. And the point of this meditation is because normally we cherish our bodies very much. And reflecting, focusing on the body and reflecting on its impermanent and impure nature turns away this attachment, because we realize that after all there is no benefit in being so attached to the body.
Tahi akani magom smini yagom layate karchimbo chago rechita. Te churang tambo gong gozo yumbene kasu che semdela guba ke damba hyukchimbo yuna tene ma yoni ang gozo no yapo yores. Tambo mixa te sa masa chila tena. Tene churang semsro chondro atela chomro la pinto chimbo yore. Tene tambo chu gom den gozo yumbene kasu tene che chu semte che tem dawo che cha masa sibo me bando cha do yuna tene a chu on dawo che antosani tene me pate ba yan te ke pinto yo bare. Tene da tendra ben da lutin bat nyawar yabate dunta ne dunta tendra gong go yore. Dunta ne dunta ben tendra gong de tene kale kale gom ne gomba ma choba jiti sungung ka songre. Gomba mayin, gomba long to jeba ins. Yangse gom, yangse mi bate baina, the gom yahite chakure sonra.
And so, actually, when you first start with this meditation, the direction where you start depends on your state of mind. If when you start out, the mind is more agitated and there are many thoughts, then you can start with your focus by focusing on the lower parts of your body and then work yourself upwards. That will help to keep the mind inside. And if at the outset of the practice you're already a bit sleepy and unclear, then you can start at the crown and work yourself downward. And then you practice that for some weeks, and slowly you habituate to that. So the point really is habituation. And Thigten Somgön had said meditation is not just something particular to meditate upon, but basically meditation is continued habituation. That's the best meditation. So if you continue to again and again train, again and again habituate to it, that's the best meditation.
Tani ba chowa timba nyawar yoba. Chowa layate yam chowa dewa, yam chowa dunga, yam chowa tanyum. Te sumbu karo ni mande pare. Ta tara ngana so ke solo la ke ja xie ba ze xie jo de so chowa kare je se chamsa ha gom do. Ta te kare sa gom ma ja jung je ma gong jung je cha ge. Yin ne yang chamsa chowa jin de chowa de ji sen zhang. Teni dong nge gan ge teni nga control san chik chom ha chama jing ge do ta tu su chama la lo bang go yin na tu su chama le pa wing go wing cha zo go tu su chama mi ba zo go yu ba yin na chowa tin ba ni yo ba ta chowa to la ta ne ta chowa dewa yin na dewa ti nga la ne chowa de mi tin la yo te chowa dewa ti ka la ne teni chowa dong ha yin no chowa dong ha ka rang la ne chowa dongha tikala mikpa ten neba ina te tana rombo chi sonso te hedang jen hedang korang ngo la ta zo ta chaja chimbo tang zo pa chimbo to su kap zo te song da rawo yin zang te ka he ke chaja chimbo to zo pa chimbo hine zang ri he lam do ya te ni ko zo ha ma ne lam jo ro ma to ke ta te chowa dongha ina dongha wa te la te de ba na chowa dongha de ko su so la nong hyok chimbo te to ko yo ma ri si ko jis rang so no ko no ho de yang ko te and ta cho dong ha no cho dong ha de rang la me ba ten de tene cho ta nyo na dewa ma dong ha ma ta nyo na cho ta nyo ding la de na ta ra ne tene cho de ha ko ba we ne tene ta cho de ka la ne do ne kap so o tene nam to la so ba ji na tene tim ba gu sim ba ji tim ba ga ha ko chang gun de nam to ka lo yo ma ri cho nam to de sakchin jokchin an thosa ni hie na ya ka lo mo lo ba de ri de ma sa ni hie na lam sang ka lo yo ma re ka lo ma de yin ya ta lin ji lo ma re ta lin me ji ba de kan ra cha na ko nam to yong wa de yong ji de ne nam to ko ran yin yong kin ji re nam to se ji de tam bo yong kin ji re ta ma kon rong kin ji re kon rong kin de ro ji goodbye la pa ro ji go le ma se chang goodbye ma lan zong de wa na te nam to chang che mo che zong ro ra te ne ta ka nga ko sam yon de ba the ngor ba te ndu te tim ba la ya de ke na be ne ha ko to ne na ta na go yo.
And then second is close placement of mindfulness on one's feelings. And so there's basically three kinds of feelings: feeling of happiness, feeling of suffering, and then a feeling of equanimity. So often we are not at all aware of the kind of feelings that arise in our mind. We are projected outward, distracted outward, and we just keep talking to others and chattering, and we don't really know what's really happening in our mind at all. We don't really think about the faults of distraction and so on. And then sometimes a stronger feeling arises, and then we cling on to that. And then we think of something sad and we cry, or something funny and we laugh, or we remember some unkind words and we get angry and so on. But these are all things that we need to kind of isolate the mind. We need to isolate the mind from, and we need to eliminate them. But not in a sense of rejection. So we place our mindfulness onto that feeling. So, for example, if your feeling is a feeling of happiness, then the happiness becomes your focal object. Then you take the happiness as your focal object and just rest with the happiness. And if the feeling is suffering, then the suffering becomes your focal object. And then you dwell on that. So that's what Rinpoche this morning also said: when anger arises, look at its essence. And that's similar to the practices of Mahamudra and Dzogchen. And that's why sometimes people say that Mahamudra and Dzogchen is just shamatha, but they don't really understand it much deeper. So it's, of course, more than just shamatha. So in any case, when the feeling is suffering and you just use that as a focal object, and you abide within this feeling as your focal object of meditation, then the suffering actually cannot affect you in a negative way. It only affects you negatively if you pursue it, if you follow it along. So that's suffering as a focal object. And then sometimes you feel neutral, and then you use this equanimity, where you don't have any particular feeling of happiness or sadness. And then you just stay within that feeling, while just sustaining some awareness of that feeling. You just abide. And then if a thought arises within that, just recognize it with mindfulness, but don't pursue it. And so being with it and not pursuing it, in the Mahamudra and in the Dzogchen, we say don't accept it and don't reject it. So we are not actually rejecting it by not following it. We're just letting it be. So you don't have to reject it, you also don't have to accept it in. The thought is just like someone who comes for a visit. So they come, and then in the end they will go again. So then you just say goodbye, and then you let them go. Of course, if you don't say that, if you don't let them go, goodbye, then they might just stay around and cause all kinds of trouble again.
Time's up, but not finish.
Yeah.
xie zai ma sang da ya yo.
Musikatisch. Rinpoche ko ma tsong la nga se tu ra.
Re.
Chimpa tang ro.
Ore. Ore, deni da tenda. Yo yo no. Sunam de tam je ze ba ne tom ne je ba na ban ze ji ge nan je ba lo ro ba ye ze ban zo lo ro wa jo. Thank you so much. Thank you.
내가 주로는 말라 스타트에 시작하고 거는 막 마시었던데 이렇게 버티 뒤로 뭐 저기 저서 사실 나오시 대체사 벽고 차요래 들리나지 시랍들 답을 보지송을 탈지는 시랍란 직진인데 시랍단 직진이 대비 시랍이 우성을 그 직진에서 그 공직 나왔음을 주세 양면도 되잖아 실자를 사제사와 제의 성동만 대인 통일들이지 시랍을 차상처라고 배주다로 말이 직디버 서울 배주다만 강도는 시랍을 오늘 찍어봐 도면 사관도 동당 그때 방문이 시랍 때문에 남시를 가는 이유나 남시지 내로 도스면서 이 시라 마도 발은 남시에 대해 마도 바가 나지 요래더니 시랍을 뭐 도스면서 이틀 이 시에 세계대로 신화들이 되래 이 시가를 되는 이유만에 대외 실사스 티적이 사와서 되는 취직이 같이 시랍을 때니 되는 대화중대 시랍을 때니 hinger이 대화중으로 돼 너는 시랍을 모니터니 진짜 고송대 양양한테 줘서 그래 좀이 개판나 뒤딱제다나 되니 있으면 이 시이지 대라고 인사에 대응팀 때문에 공로가 파 대로 파는 휴철송대 소소대로 고성 네 마음과 짓는 것을 좋아졌지나 딱제당 공전을 때 yap고요. 너는 시랍시 봐야 되니 sakchi 적진 탐제리 직진 속으로는 제모습 좀 말을 또 줘도 너는 그 생각 내lok숨 내록 또나 추상상 내록 또나 배사 맛 내록서 배사 로는 것은 문제 그것은 continue 로지는 자게 생각 내록 또라들이 시합과 타투가 때 있으면 우리 마치 sem이 또나 배사 로는 것은 우리 민마적은 내가 통성 대외 생각대로 또라들이라고 더 처음에 많이 거래 내로 다 하고 이렇게 하고는 참다 최소면 그랬대 말이 들이지 사바다는 얘기 저거래 들이지 다들 성제
Dhamma friends, we spoke about the parameters of meditation and wisdom, and explained a bit about that, and then Khenpo Tenzin Rinpoche clarified things for you, and that is excellent. And also Khenpo said in the Jewel Ornament of Liberation, he speaks about two kinds of wisdom: the worldly wisdom and the transcendental wisdom, the one that transcends the mundane. And Jigten Sumgön said in the Gongchik that everything done in the field of knowable things is done by the Buddha. So that is this aspect of wisdom, of intelligence that we all make use of, that everyone possesses. Everything that we do in this world is done by this intelligence, and that is wisdom, that is the Buddha, and everyone has that. And now when we look at it from the perspective of the relative, where we see a duality of self and other, then this intelligence this mind is the consciousness that perceives that duality. And when you realize the nature of this consciousness, it is realized as primordial wisdom. So when you realize the essence of wisdom, the essence of this intelligence in you, then that itself is non-dual primordial wisdom. And so in reality, there's no duality, and for this reason, these two quotes, on the one hand saying that there's two kinds of wisdom, and then Jigten Sumgön saying, but everything that is done in this world basically is done by the Buddha, shows that there is just this one wisdom, that engages in any activity in the Dharma or in the world. And it is the one that accomplishes even the slightest happiness. It is the one that sustains compassion, and therefore you experience happiness. So really reading these words by Jigten Sumgyön again and again really clarifies the meaning of this. And actually I had a discussion about this with Khenpo Tembel and asked him about that, and through basically the result of this discussion was that I understood this point more clearly. But anyways, it's something to really investigate and think about and then meditate upon. So in brief, this wisdom mind is explained in Mahamudra or in Dzogchen. But also Jigten Sumgyön said that the remaining untouched by the three great ones is the supreme realization. The three great ones refers to Mahamudra, Dzogchen, and the Madhyamaka. So beyond all of that lies the realization of the nature of the mind. Also, Longchen Rabcham had said in the Treasury of Pithin Instructions, the Mengalzum, said that when one realizes the natural state of the mind, there is no higher learning than that. And when one recognizes the uncontrived mind itself, there is no need to study any scriptures. Because once you realize the nature of the mind, that is the ultimate perfection of wisdom. And that is without any doubts. So now we have an understanding of the natural state of the mind, but still sometimes doubts arise because we haven't actually realized it. And so to realize it, we need to practice again and again, cultivating continuously a mind of loving kindness and compassion.
동시 섬주 속적과 랑거 쳐봐 랑거 마다는 주변적지 주민시 시베 대해서 저들 랑거 쳐봐라 따니 뭐 자세라니 인성 다니 무슨 냠니 제니 탐체라 차이잖아 소바리 랑 쳐다 만들 이 심기 줄 파타게 따야요 말이 삼문화는 심지어 말이지 봐라 심지나 사제는 뭐는지 심기가 줄이 누구 뭐지 요다 요지 말해 라가 냠이 지니래지 베라스 컨트롤은 코가 컨트롤도 좀 똑같아 맞게 되는데 너 똑같다 세컨 똑같아 나무 좀 그래지 나도 저거 그랬지 컨트롤랑 다서지 대파역들이 네 양당하는 문제나 이 바로 봐도 컨트롤은 아직 식도요 대낭기 남도라 소화지 대 양당하는 진들이 박차죠 그래 대마저 대지 랑이 주도 잘로 맞당 잡아라서 남이 제만 삼제라 남도다 유문 잘로 말게 타말바는 촬영 그래서 졸로 기반에다 깨죠. 저 컨트롤랑이 차단 도박하는 이 컨트롤로 포토스랑 컨트롤 시스템 맞이나 이 바로 보시로 대다 같이 버리 될 무거든 심만들 때 무슨 냠이 제만 탑지 당 고차고를 단 처발에 랑처랑 다고래지 이거는 문제가 같이 버렸다 완전히 저는 호가르지 랑지 뭐지나 다른 적용 그래 동태래
Next is verse number 31. Unless you examine your own confused ideas, you might look like a practitioner, but not be acting like one. Therefore, always examine yourself and abandon confusion. This is the way of a Bodhisattva. So this verse is taught in particular for us practitioners, those practitioners. We have to see for ourselves whether or not we are confused. And that is to say, do not investigate whether or not others are confused. Don't analyze others, but analyze yourself. So, of course, all sentient beings possess afflictive emotions. Since I possess them, of course, everyone else possesses afflictive emotions. But we are Dharma practitioners. So when a moment of anger arises, you should instantly recognize there is anger arising. Because when the anger arises, that if you cling onto it, it will obscure the mind. So when the anger arises and you recognize this thought is like a cloud that obscures my mind, and I need to liberate those thoughts. I'm a practitioner. So when anger arises, you just simply recognize that it arises, and then you just continuously do not grasp at whatever arises. And then if you do not grasp, then eventually also the grasping in the mind of the other person will dissolve. On the other hand, if the thought arises and you grasp at it, it generates a feeling, then you keep grasping at it, then you are reinforcing those karmic imprints in your mind. And so it is said that the way things appear is as before. So that means for a practitioner, the same kind of thoughts and afflictions arise as before, or as in an ordinary person. So they continue to arise, but the difference is how we liberate those afflictions. This is what distinguishes an ordinary person from a practitioner. So whatever affliction arises, attachment or anger and so on, you recognize it and it goes away. And if it goes away, it will also eventually go away in the other person. So that's very important. But if you hold on to it, you cling to it, then this is where confusion begins. So whether or not you're confused, you have to see for yourself. So the one important thing is to not grasp for a practitioner. That's the one important thing. Regardless of what the other person is doing, if you do not grasp, you will not be obscured. If you grasp, your mind will be obscured.
강리 절대 pen 자세 되나 심진 그 돈신이 달라마다 기비신이 다되면 기기생나 저거 별 심진이 피마다 대야 pen 제서 사과도 기비신이 뜨가 람돈이 저가 거빠땀나 대 거빠들이 이제서 강리 다 양을 차도 양을 비심 다 되지 다지니 되게 차다운 거다 거빠되는 거요래 제일 거빠땀나 되게 기분이 zemchin chata lapchena roma chatauna tatabu dula tapa 성우는 몇줄 있다도 도와서 되나 까빠 마부스는 소사로 타발라는 그 어레지 대상으로 뒤 될 종주는 대상이 될 록다지는 맨 사바치 보서는 몇 참만로 뒤 사바지 또리잖아 또니랑 들이들 몇이서 타파 성우지 하고 하정 가고요. 수능 기전비. 제대와제 대발 도를 내서래. 그마치다 그만 망고 대바 도를 대바 돈 참매인간에 록다께서래. 록다들이 강다지 지금은 사제의 줄 록다는 거요래. 다투 대회는 되게 하정이 받지 보면 참매인간에 록다께서 다 록다. 나를 쪽 터고 쪽 제지 니바지 다될 거 만드는 때라 송거래. 대회는 나니 냠조스 너는 주지 터요 말이 얘는 그 바다를 주 노바당선 다소랑 터대요레스.
Then verse number 32. If you are driven by disturbing emotions and talk about another bodhisattva's faults, it is actually to your own detriment. So don't mention the faults of those who have entered the great vehicle. This is the way of a bodhisattva. So this is a very, very important, a very precious verse. So the bodhisattvas are those who engage in activities that benefit sentient beings. That can be a lama, a spiritual teacher, or a worldly teacher, or anyone who engages in activities to benefit sentient beings, but in particular, spiritual teacher, a Dharma teacher who shows the path to others. So if you point out their faults and humiliate them or criticize them, first of all, what is the basis of such criticism? It's either jealousy or a competitive mind, or any of the three poisons: attachment, aversion, ignorance. That is why we criticize others. We speak about their faults. And if the enlightened activities of that teacher are particularly great, then the fault is even greater, because this spiritual teacher is placing the seed of liberation into the mind streams of many disciples. And that is extremely meaningful, because, for example, even if you would only give one refuge vow to one person, that in itself accumulates merit for aeons. You have established someone on the path to liberation. And then if you go and point out that person's faults, then anybody else who hears that might develop wrong views. So you become like a person who destroys a bridge, then nobody can go there anymore. And you are the one who has destroyed it. Actually, this seed of liberation is not easy. It's actually extremely difficult to have that seed of liberation planted into one's mind. It's extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult for one to cultivate faith. It's much more easy to lose one's faith. So if there is a master who has a lot of disciples, and then you point out their faults to this master's faults to those disciples, then they might turn away from the Dharma altogether and cultivate many wrong views and lose all of their faith. And actually it is said that such a wrong view is one of the 5 extremely negative actions with immediate retribution. So because these people do not only turn away from that person, that Lama, but they also turn away from the Buddha and the Dharma altogether, and they cultivate all sorts of other wrong views. And so therefore, it is one of those extremely negative actions and has a particularly heavy negative effect. Actually, what happens when you point out their faults in this way, talk about their faults, it is actually to your own detriment. So ultimately, you cannot really harm the other person. You're really only harming yourself.
그런 그 필수적으로 삼고만 사와는 좀 다시 저는 점다 참나는 차와봉 자세라니 그 공급되는 자오 요리 랑이 니 벌거만 그 필수가 봤다나 이 소니를 로마탄 저 로다제 요리 들이 대회를 들이 저다당 로마라 소리지는 차니가 말이지 마소코 선생님가 말이지 로마들이 핑고선 로티마도 내가 로마에 사베 대서도 그자 내지 소리인 거래 소리지 말이지 너무 설는 자서 니들라고 너무 설는 저 주가는 저 가이가 피나 때도들이 추상전도도 저과 차한 거 때라고 상로단 거래.
Then verse number 33, concern for gain and respect causes conflict and the decline in the activities of learning, reflecting, and meditating. So abandon attachment to your circle of friends, relations, and benefactors. This is the way of a Bodhisattva. So this verse also is quite similar to the previous verse. Again, it is similar in a sense that when, in order to gain a benefactor or in order to gain a disciple, you might criticize, point out somebody else's faults, and then those disciples cultivate a wrong view towards this other teacher. So this mainly refers to teachers, for example. So a teacher must be without any bias, and only thinking that I want to benefit the disciples, and that's it. But it's not good if the teacher cultivates biased views and thinks that these are my disciples and they shouldn't go anywhere else. Actually, this is what I really tell everyone. I tell them, meet any Lama, receive any Dharma teaching, practice whatever you find beneficial, because ultimately it all has the same meaning.
좀 저기 인생 주저쟁 다르지 주저쟁 대시지 뭐 저도보면 자세라니 이제 책적대라 당 책적 다 잠당 책적이요래 파지 삼세면은 삼지 속치는 저 책적 못해 조람은 뒤바뀌는 책적 못해 이제 발벌 팽금은 누구요래 저 책이요니 누구요 말이야 서로당이 책적 못해 광고래 책적 못해 가에 있나들이 그들 잡은 나 송등원은 송로래 책도 방거래스.
Then verse number 34. Harsh words disturb others' minds and thus diminish the practice of a bodhisattva. Therefore, abandon harsh speech which is unpleasant to others. This is the way of a bodhisattva. There's two kinds of harsh words. There is harsh words that come from anger, and there is harsh words that come from love or kindness. And even if it comes from a place of love, often it is because our love is so strong that we say something very harsh to someone. But even though it comes from a place of love, if we say it in a harsh way, then it doesn't benefit the other person. It only harms them because they don't want to listen if you say it in this way. So for this reason, any kind of harsh words or unkind speech must be abandoned.
니몽 권나 니비 도가에 진시 기위 니비 총송에 차서를 못도 보지마서 먼종시 바자세라니서 다디 소탈을 가니 니메지 니모마 가려는 지 니메지는 니보테 사세를 파신 쪽들이 사바탄 니기 쪽들이 니모바테 메바탄 거레스 들이 상하가 따왔던 거니 공장이 막 보여래 나 그냥 니 집어도 저 강해시 근데 니모바들 제대로시 다 니몽디 하고리 시시제스 대리 너도 차차니고 차와지와지 무슨에 하고리 들이 좋더라 들이 라과지면 들이 좋더래 차와지 시당 차도 빠래 너 차와지 레와래 대니 주지 매바용 거래 제가 주신데 상황을 적으래 제가 랑도 노는 거래 들이변은 신의 지금 몇 동세고 통거래 들이 도디 중성지 통 용디만 통고차 대서 적으래 대회는 들이 니보래래 소탈게 니보 사세게 니보 상하게 니보 따와래 다그 니보 충성 좋나 변들이 나도 충성 때 좋나 시합도 면적을해서 나도 퍼센트를 미 충성이나 되니까 신망고 충성 야들이 매치고 동토고요 그래서 미 충성이 맞아 신도도 최고도 야들이 참 말해서 다니 몽tor 들고면 너 검적하는 핑크면 너 뛰어라고 차고요 그래서.
And then number 35, when disturbing emotions become habitual, it is difficult to reverse them with antidotes. Thus, the soldier of mindfulness wields antidotes as weapons and destroys disturbing emotions, such as attachment, the moment they start to arise. This is the way of a bodhisattva. So according to the path of individual liberation, we remember the shortcomings of the afflictive emotions, and that is the antidote to them. According to the Bodhisattva path, we practice the 6 paramitas, and through the power of love and compassion, destroy the afflictive emotions. According to the view of secret mantra, and most of us are Vajrayana practitioners, now, what should we think? What is the point of my practice? Why am I engaging in practice? It is in order to tame the afflictive emotions. if you recognize their nature, the afflictive emotions are recognized as primordial wisdom. So you recognize each and every thought that arises, also the subtle thoughts. First, you're able to liberate the more coarse thoughts. And then there still are many subtle thoughts that arise. For example, a coarse thought is anger, and its subtle counterpart is fear. Or there is attachment on the coarse side, and its subtle counterpart is hope. So especially these subtle forms, hope and fear and so on, they constantly arise in our mind. And they rob the mind of clarity. So you lose your clarity and the mind becomes obscured through these subtle thoughts of hope and fear. And therefore, you will be mistaken in what to do and what not to do. So for example, your perception is distorted, just like a person who is sick with jaundice, they would see white conscious yellow. So in a similar way, if we are obscured in this way by hopes and fears, then we will see the faults in something that actually doesn't have faults and so on. So each of these paths has their antidote, the individual liberation and the Bodhisattva path. And in the Vajrayana path, the antidote is the view. So you have to liberate each and every thought and afflictive emotion that arises. The awareness that liberates them is like fire, and the thought that arises is like wood. So first, in the beginning, the fire is not very strong. So therefore, in the beginning, the fire can only burn away small pieces of wood. So you have to feed it small pieces of wood, and then slowly the fire will grow stronger. If you throw a large piece of wood into a small fire, it will just kill the fire. And then often that's why people, even though they meditate, they think that meditation is of no benefit.
The Lali so do it my was Haji Chisum says on the Raga Assembly also the song Sim Zang Mazus. Shirak, so sort of Shirak, any Rangi, same they up to la sheet, Rangi same Chinchite, new one the Horam Mashor. Samata Niji, Layamaka, Teta Artery, Tony Niji on Madara, Sonitele, Jishi Payo Bate, Tita Sado Kangan is on. Jinshida Laman Yermi Bat, Rang Jimmy Shirabdi, Talamati, Talamati, got a crossing the Pedo on my Talamati when you sent the go it. Oh, Lama sent the Shia on my Lama sent round same like Shia, same corner Jason, don't the Tower Hakon, same corner Jason. Oh, didn't Chipara the one that Lama sent the carry. Tai Nigerians, Shabres, Sham Nigers of the Red. Till Magi Shirab and Niger, Lama Shirab and Niger, Chipper Carito. Chipper and Bess so tight, so some data, make some data, top some data, Chichum mother to watch her. Oh, the little Lama Sanchok and so on, the searching at this on the double Lama, the Sanchok and the Red. The Lama military, Ranga, simply Samata in Niger, or time the Lama Teres. Lama than Java me Bati, Sanchok and Java Vegas. Theta, during the Madame, the Sanchok and the Sanchok number Nite. Ya, and those Sanchok and Tahatan Sentachu was a half Corvena. Tom Sanchok and the Sour and the Sentama to Tesson Tesson, because Sanchok says it's all your money. Needs and lean chains of the simply Pingu and the simply of the Doggy. The Mata did simply the other things, the tar, some monorator, leans on the city to English on it. Teaching somebody in Magilla, 3 days. Then you move the machine. 3 days, the Tawandra. There's in the Chitan. Shirk ran to Mashara, send you more of the Mashara, Shirk ran to Nimo na to de jiang na. O di na to de ha ko ni. Xie dang rang ne. Te xie dang ri ha ko xie dang ro me ba zhou. O di da rang chu ma shuo wai. Xie dang rang xie dang wang de ge de zhong a ge li sa tong. De li sa tong de. Nimo mo ma de zhou de li long la ge yo le. 레롱 기스 타다 레롱 기스 쇼나 산이 샤차데 레롱 기스 로라다 민송송나 대지 남치 롱다오 랑당드니 내니 로레 대회에서 다다가버더니 sem랑속 탐나 네 실랑속 마셔 와서 뇨다와 탐진데 대조인 송 주민을 배송을 실랑속 마셔 완들 사과지 먹으시 그때 자또 동로 인천송나 나와 대라라 차동제고 말해서 너는 따와상이 실랑속 솔마쇼 뉴마모 솔마쇼 대사께서 생근데 갑들하시에 선대 뉴마모도 솔마쇼 대다고 해서
So then the next verse, in verse number 36, really summarizes all of what has been said until now. And actually not just the 37 Bodhisattva practices, but all of the Buddha's teachings. It really summarizes it all. The Buddha said, completely tame your own mind, purify your own mind, purify it with discriminating awareness. So in brief, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, always examine the state of your mind. So at all times sustain mindfulness and be aware, am I being controlled by an afflictive emotion or not? Am I sustaining love and compassion or not? The practice is to never separate from emptiness and compassion by sustaining mindfulness, awareness. Whatever you practice, Mahamudra or Dzogchen, it is about this mindfulness. And this mindfulness is indivisible from the root guru. There is no benefit in taking the body of the root guru with you. What you need is the root guru's mind. And the guru's mind cannot die. And also your own mind cannot die. It transcends birth and death. So what is the guru's mind actually? It is compassion, it is wisdom. It is the union of compassion and wisdom. And is there a difference between the guru's wisdom and compassion and your own wisdom and compassion? There is actually in quality, and there's not the slightest difference. For example, even a little insect, the tiniest little insect has love, and a human being has love. It's exactly the same thing. It is just a difference in how much love you have, but in essence it is the same. And therefore, there's a Mahamudra prayer. I supplicate to Bodhicitta, the actual guru. So, love and compassion, that when that arises in your mind, recognize this is the guru. So if you want to never separate from the guru, then never separate from bodhicitta. And there is two kinds of bodhicitta, the relative and the ultimate bodhicitta. Now, until you have gained complete stability and certainty in the relative bodhicitta, you will always have some doubts with regard to the ultimate bodhicitta. If you develop relative bodhicitta, you will become free of doubts. So this means to sustain love and a wish to benefit sentient beings throughout the 3 periods of the day and 3 periods of the night. Always remember their suffering, and the moment you think of their suffering, instantly wish for their happiness and for them to be free from suffering. You have to remember this throughout the 6 periods of day and night. So just never forget about that, never forget about love and compassion, and do not become controlled by the afflictive emotions. And as a result, later you will realize the view. Jigme Lingpa had said, do not lose the stability of clear awareness. And so what that means is when a thought or an emotion arises, recognize it. Even if anger arises, if you recognize it, it will again disappear. If you do not lose the stability of clear awareness. Otherwise, if there is not sufficient awareness and anger arises, you will act out on it with body and speech and accumulate karma. When you become controlled by the afflictive emotions, you are controlled by the karmic winds. And if you are controlled by the karmic winds now, when you are alive, then they will also control you later after you have died. And after you have died, these karmic winds will then bring you to the 3 lower realms. So those karmic winds is really the consciousness. It is like the consciousness is like wind, and it naturally will go to take birth then in an inferior, miserable state of existence. And so do not lose the stability of your clear awareness. That is actually the most important, the highest of all views. So it was taught by Jigme Lingpa. So he said, do not lose the stability of clear awareness. There is nothing greater, no greater practice or greater view than that. Not 100 scholars, not 1,000 yogis, and not 10,000 Mahasiddhas will tell you anything greater than that. Do not lose the seat or the stability of clear awareness. And that means you do not become controlled by the afflictive emotions. So therefore, whatever you do, wherever you are, whatever you do at all times, look at the state of your mind and see, am I or am I not controlled by thoughts and afflictive emotions?
대답 좀 기한데 타인 로동아 사주선 코스 넘버 딱 시랍도 사조고 자세라니 어 기와 시바데다 추상 곰좀 제번 제버시 또 사바체미 사바데 니제레스 사바데 니겐 타인 로동이 자와 다지레스 다지지 처럼 따르레스 티 통나 신진 산지 신진 가까이 오면 거기서 넘버 또 지랄게 사초가 자세라니 이제 그 동담 그때마다 거기서 넘버만 더 시랍 동담 시랍 그 송지 세자가 이 동지께네 너나 뭐가면 뭐 조제세 뭐레스
Then verse number 37, with the wisdom of threefold purity, dedicate all the virtue gained from having made such effort toward enlightenment. Dedicate it to clear away the suffering of infinite beings. This is the way of a Bodhisattva. So virtue, the virtue gained. Virtue is whatever we do. We listen to the Dharma, we reflect, we meditate. Whatever we do, the result of practice is to accomplish the 4 immeasurables, is to cultivate love and compassion. So that's the virtue gained. That is to be gained. And then the suffering of infinite beings, the root of all their suffering is self-grasping, which is like an ice block, water that has frozen into ice. So on the ultimate level, actually, there is no division between Buddhas and sentient beings when they realize that. And that's the wisdom of threefold purity. There is no division, no duality. So in brief, this wisdom of threefold purity refers to the ultimate reality, the ultimate truth. So dedicate all of this to clear away the suffering of infinite beings. This is the way of a Bodhisattva.
이제 지금 샤스는 다음에만 오요지. 다음에만 있어 나오는 바 다시님 방송 거요래서 남지소 남선소 하자들 동주라. 자지 뭐 고라는 경상적세 남아니 거래서 이제리 동참아 되는 누구 간데 가 너주 롱팀지 참았다는 누구요래지 제는 지진이 자세라는 선수도 우로로 병바종을 제바집에 대별만 진짜 돌아서면 송로님에서 자세라는 주민라 벌써 언제 자세죠 올라기나 놈이든 저때 가서 가서 말을 생기면서 담아는 저버져서 저대로 교회로 동당군도 상쪽선조들 시다시원 타람매가 길에서 보세요 정말이고 송대디 딱 올라오요래 실제는 저거 그래서 좀 그래
Then it says in the end, in accordance with the words of the holy ones regarding the meaning of the sutras, tantras, and their commentaries, I have written these 37 verses on the ways of a bodhisattva for those who wish to train on the bodhisattva's path. So, whatever is taught in the sutras, in the tantras, the commentaries, all of the Buddha's words are included within this book, within the 37 practices. Jitsong Khapa summarized it too, and he called that the three like principal paths. And so he said that first you need renunciation to samsara. When you have renunciation, then compassion will arise. And when compassion arises, then you will realize selflessness. And the realization of selflessness is the realization of the ultimate truth, that self and other are indivisible. So renunciation, compassion, and the ultimate truth. So renunciation and the twofold bodhicitta. So everything is complete within those words. All of the Buddha's teachings are included within just these words. And then, in the end, this composition will not be admired by the learned because my intellect is poor and my education is limited. However, I have followed the sutras and the words of the holy ones, so I believe these ways of a bodhisattva are not mistaken. Still, because the vast deeds of bodhisattvas are difficult to grasp by simple-minded beings like myself, I beg the forgiveness of the holy ones for the mass of my errors, such as contradictions and inconsistencies. By the virtue arising from this, may all beings give rise to relative and ultimate bodhicitta, and thereby become like the protector Chenrezig, who does not abide in the extremes of existence or peace. So these concluding words are quite easy to understand. Also, the time is over, but in brief, we all have to become like Chenrezig. So Dharma friends, Dashi Delek, and also Dashi Delek to all the Dharma friends who are following us on the live stream around the world.
So we'll do the concluding prayers by reading the aspiration prayer of Sukhavati. And please let us know by raising your hand if you need one, and we can bring one to you.
You have more? Can I have more?
So we'll begin on page number 4. Emaho, in the direction of the setting sun, beyond innumerable worlds, slightly elevated, is the land of the noble beings, the perfectly pure celestial realm, Sukhavati. It is not visible to ordinary eyesight, but is clearly visible to a mind endowed with pure vision. In that realm resides the Bhagavan, Jina, Amitabha, of ruby red color in a dazzling brilliance. He has all the 32 marks of superiority and the 80 perfections, the crest protrusion on his head and the wheels on his feet and all the rest. He has a single face and 2 hands in the contemplation mudra, holding an alms bowl, and he is robed in the 3 Dharma robes, sitting cross-legged. He is seated in the Vajra posture on a 1,000-petaled lotus with a moon seat, and behind his back is a Bodhi tree. By his compassionate eyes he beholds me from afar. On his right is the Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara of white color, holding in his left hand a white lotus, and on his left is the Bodhisattva Vajrapani of blue color, holding in his left hand a Vajra-marked lotus, and both have their right hands extended towards me in refuge-bestowing mudra. These 3 chief deities appear in splendor like Samaru, towering, immovable, and indestructible. Surrounding them are millions and billions of bodhisattva mendicants, all of golden complexion, adorned by the marks and perfections, and robed in the 3 Dharma robes of bright yellow color. Since they do not discriminate between devotion from near and from afar, I prostrate devotedly by my 3 gates right here. As I recognize the Dharmakaya Amitabha as lineage Buddha, from his right hand radiates light, becoming his emanation, Avalokiteshvara, and further becoming a billion secondary Avalokiteshvara emanations. From his left hand radiates light, becoming his emanation Tara, and further becoming 1,000 million secondary Tara emanations. And from his heart radiates light, becoming his emanation Padmasambhava, and further becoming 1,000 million secondary Padmasambhava emanations. I prostrate to the Dharmakaya Amitabha. During the 6 periods of day and night, his Buddha eye continuously beholds all beings with affection. He always knows whatever thoughts arise in the mind of every single sentient being, and he always hears distinctly and without confusion whatever words are spoken by every single sentient being. I prostrate to the all-knowing Amitabha. It is declared that anyone who offers this aspiration with faith, except one who has committed the 5 inexpiable Dharma abandonments, will, by offering this aspiration to be reborn in Sukhavati, be drawn toward that realm when they enter the bardo. I prostrate to the guide, Amitabha. It is declared that Amitabha's vitality will remain for countless aeons without passing beyond suffering, and just now appears openly, and anyone who supplicates with a single-pointed devotion will obtain power over life, except for already ripened tendencies, and the ability to live for 100 years, and he will be protected against all untimely death. I prostrate to the protector, Amitayas. It is declared that even if one could fill 1 billion worlds, countless myriads of times, with jewels and give them as gifts, hearing but once the name of Amitabha and Sukhavati, and joining the palms in faith, would have greater merit. Therefore, I prostrate devotedly to Amitabha. Whoever, on hearing the name of Amitabha, develops uncontrived devotion from the depth of his heart and bones just once, he will never be repelled from the Bodhi path. I prostrate to the protector, Amitabha. Who even hears the name of Buddha Amitabha will always be born in a superior family and endowed with pure morality until that one's heart is awakened. I prostrate to the Sugata Amitabha. My body, wealth, all roots of my virtue, and all offerings I can imagine of material wealth and mental creation, the 8 auspicious objects, the 8 auspicious signs, and 7 royal attributes, the billion evolvements of Mount Meru, the 4 continents and sun and moon, as they appear in the primordial creation of the billion worlds, all wealth of devas, nagas, and human beings, everything my mind holds on to, this I offer to Amitabha. In your compassion, accept it for my benefit. All the non-virtuous deeds which have been committed by myself and other beings, by all sentient beings headed by my father and mother, from beginningless time until now, killing, stealing, impure conduct, the 3 non-virtues of the body, I now confess. Lying, slandering, rough speech, and gossip, the 4 non-virtues of speech, I now confess. Covetousness, malice, and holding wrong view, the 3 non-virtues of mind, I now confess. Killing one's father, one's mother, one's teacher, or an arhat, and intending to cause harm to the body of a jina, all accumulated tendencies towards these 5 inexpiable deeds, I now confess. Killing a monk or a nun, seducing a chaste woman, destroying a statue, a stupa, or a temple, and so on. All faults pertaining to such almost inexpiable deeds, I now confess. Swearing by the refuge, the temple, or the scriptures, and similar deeds, all accumulations of such bad tendencies towards Dharma abandonment, I now confess. Having heard about the benefit resulting from the virtue and the suffering resulting and about being sentenced to the suffering of the hells, but believing this to be without truth, and having accumulated the bad tendencies of the evil of these 5 inexpiable deeds, all such accumulations of bad tendencies from which one cannot be liberated, I now confess. Breaking the Vinaya code through the 4 inexpiable deeds or the 13 very bad transgressions, or indulging in the 5 kinds of defilement, or making mistakes concerning the rules of Vinaya. All this I now confess. Falling into the 4 black activities, or violating the 5, the other 5, or the 8 vows, and thus damaging the Bodhisattva discipline. All this I now confess. Spoiling the 14 root vows and the 8 branch vows of the Vajrayana, I now confess. The vows I have failed to take and the unvirtuous deeds I have committed, my impure conduct and my enjoyment of wine and so on, all the faults which cannot be clearly described, and all the faults I cannot recognize as faults, I now confess. Having taken refuge vows or empowerments without knowing how to keep the commitment precepts, and subsequently having fallen from them, this I now confess. As confession without repentance is incomplete, I now confess all my previous faults from their very depth. Like having eaten poison, I confess with shame and fear and great repentance. As confession without taking further commitment is incomplete, I commit myself from now on to abstain from killing and all such unvirtuous deeds. By the blessing of the Sugata Amitabha and his heirs, may I now be completely purified. to develop heartfelt joy when one hears about the virtuous deeds done by others, and to abandon the non-virtue of jealousy towards them, is declared to be a source of merit. Therefore, I rejoice in all virtue performed by noble beings as well as ordinary beings. I rejoice in all the many deeds for the benefit of sentient beings performed out of the generation of the highest Bodhi mind. I rejoiced in the reversal of the 10 non-virtues into the 10 virtues, saving others' lives, giving in charity, and keeping one's commitment, speaking the truth, reconciling conflicts, speaking gently and straightforwardly, speaking what is meaningful, having small desire, meditating on loving kindness and compassion, and practicing Dharma activity. In all these virtues I rejoice. I enjoin all accomplished Buddhas of all the myriad worlds of the 10 directions. Please turn without delay the wheel of Dharma, extensively as well as expediently. And by your super faculties, please reveal for all beings their purpose. I supplicate all Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Dharma upholders, and spiritual friends intending to pass beyond suffering. Please do not pass beyond, but remain in this world. My virtue accumulated by this devotion and all the virtue of the 3 times I dedicate to the benefit of sentient beings. May all beings quickly obtain the highest enlightenment, and may samsara of the 3 worlds be churned from its depth. May the virtue quickly ripen for me, so that the 18 kinds of untimely death may not affect me. May I remain free from disease, and may my body have the strength of an adolescent. May my splendor never be exhausted, but remain as abundant as the river Ganga in the rainy season. May I perform the activities of liberating Dharma without being endangered by hostile beings. May all intentions I have in mind be completely fulfilled in a Dharma way. May I accomplish great benefits for the exposition of the Dharma and for all beings. May I accomplish this purpose of this human existence. The moment I and all who are attached to me pass on from this life, may the emanation of Buddha Amitabha, surrounded by his mendicant Sangha, appear openly before us. Content with the joy of beholding him, may we not experience the suffering of death. May the 8 Bodhisattva brothers miraculously appear in the sky before me, and by their knowledge of the path to Sukhavati, may they guide us along that path. The suffering of the lower realms is unbearable, and the happiness of gods and men is impermanent. May this cause fear to arise in me. Samsara has endured for beginningless time until now. May this cause sadness to arise in me. Even transmigrating from human life to human life, enjoying the best of all births, countless times one must undergo birth, old age, and death. This evil age is affected by impurities and many obstacles. The happiness and contentment of even human beings and gods is like food mixed with poison. May I be without even the slightest desire for this. All relatives, food, wealth, and companions are like illusory, like a dream. May I be without even the slightest desire for this. All countries, places, and homes are like the lands and homes of a dream. May I recognize their lack of reality. To attain the pure realm of Sukhavati from the inescapable ocean of samsara is like being liberated from a prison of great evil. May I not look back towards samsara. To cut all snares of attachment is like a vulture being liberated from a net. May I thus fly away towards the western sky. Having traveled beyond innumerable universes in an instant, may I reach the realm of Sukhavati. There may I openly behold the face of Buddha Amitabha, and may all my veils be purified. May I take the superior of the 4 modes of birth, the miraculous birth from the heart of a lotus flower. May I instantly obtain a perfect body, endowed with all the marks and perfections. For those who have doubt or hesitation here in this life, the flower will not open for 500 years, and they will have to remain within, fully enjoying all bliss and contentment, and hearing his Buddha speech, but unable to behold his Buddha face. May I not develop this fault. May my flower open instantly upon my birth, and may I behold the face of Buddha Amitabha. By the power of my merit and magic ability, may offering clouds surpassing all imagination emanate from my hands as offerings to Buddha Amitabha and his retinue. At that moment, may the Tathagata stretch out his right hand and touch my head and bestow my enlightenment prophecy. By listening to his deep and extensive Dharma teachings, may my nature be ripened and liberated. May Avalokiteshvara and Vajrapani, the 2 principal Bodhisattvas, accept me into their blessing. Each day, as innumerable Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions approach the Buddha Amitabha to make offerings and to behold his realm, may I, through propitiation of all these, obtain their Dharma nectar. By unhindered projection, one can reach the realms of Akanishta and Ratnakuta, Karma Paripurana, and Dumatala. May I every morning proceed to visit these realms, meet the Buddhas Akshobhya, Ratnasambhava, Amoga Siddhi, and Vairocana, obtain empowerment and blessings, take vows and make many offerings, and then by the evening return without effort or difficulty to Sukhavati. May I proceed to Bhatala and Alavati, Kamara and Organ, the billion realms of the billion emanations of Avalokiteshvara and Tara, Vajrapani and Padmasambhava, and meet them and make oceans of offerings, obtain empowerments and request profound teachings, and quickly, without difficulty, return to my own place, Sukhavati. With my supervision, may I clearly behold those close friends and students I have left behind, grant them protection and blessings, and lead them towards this realm at the time of their death. The duration of this whole fortunate aeon is like a single day in Sukhavati, and the 4 innumerable aeons there is no death. May I enter this realm for all times. From Buddha Maitreya until Buddha Mopa, when during the fortunate aeon of the Buddhas appear in this world, may I miraculously proceed there, make offerings, and listen to their liberating Dharma, and then again without difficulty return to Sukhavati. All the qualities of the 81 Buddha realms, of all the 100,000 million Buddhas, are joined in Sukhavati. Thus it is unsurpassed, the most noble of all celestial realms. There is the jewel ground, is smooth as the palm of the hand, spacious and radiant with beams of light. When it is pressed down, it gives way. When it is lifted up, it rises. May I be reborn in this lofty realm of gentle happiness. There wish-fulfilling trees abound, of different precious materials, with leaves of brocade and the fruits of jewel ornaments. Flocks of emanation birds are perched on them, singing the teachings of the deep and extensive Dharma. May I be reborn in this realm of great wonder. There the rivers flow with perfumed water, having the 8 qualities, and the nectar water of the bathing ponds have the same qualities. The bathing stairs are tiled with the 7 precious stones, and the waters abound with lotus flowers, yielding fragrant fruits. The lotus blossoms radiate light beyond all limits, and each beam is on its point adorned with an emanation Buddha. May I be reborn in this realm of the greatest marvels. There the 8 unfavorable conditions and the misery of the lower realms is unheard of. The 3 or 5 emotional poisons, diseases, demon enemies, paupers, fight and quarrel, and so on, all such suffering is unheard of. May I be reborn in this realm of great bliss. There are no sexes, and nobody is born from a womb. All are born out of a lotus flower. All have faultless bodies of golden complexion, adorned with a crown protrusion, and so on. All the marks and perfections, and all possess the 5 superfaculties and 5 eyes. May I be reborn in this realm of countless qualities. Their palaces made of various precious materials arise by themselves. All desirable enjoyments arise by the thought power of the mind. No exertion is necessary. All needs are spontaneously fulfilled. There is no distinction between you and me, because there is no selfishness. Whatever one wants arises on offering clouds from the palm of one's hand. All act according to the Dharma of the highest Mahayana. May I be reborn in this realm of all-pervading joy and contentment. There the fragrant breezes bring great showers of flowers. The trees and rivers and lotus flowers all have surpassingly lovely shapes, sounds, smells, tastes, and touches. Offering clouds with all sorts of enjoyments continuously arise. No women or men abide in that realm, but there are abundant emanation gods and goddesses. These gods and goddesses of many distinctions are continuously presenting offerings. By the wish to take rest, a jeweled palace arises. By the wish to lay down, a jewel throne with cushions and pillows of various brocade appears. By the wish to listen, the sound of birds and the wish-fulfilling trees and all the rivers offer Dharma praises. By the wish for silence, no sound is heard. The nectar pools and rivers become warm or cold upon one's wish. May I be reborn in this wish-fulfilling realm. In this realm, the perfect Buddha Amitabha will reside for countless aeons without passing beyond suffering. When Amitabha has passed into nirvana, there will be intermediate period of Dharma exposition, lasting as many aeons as there are sand grains in the river Ganga. Eventually, the Dharma will decline, but then again arise when Avalokiteshvara attains enlightenment. He will appear as the Buddha Ozer Kune Pakpa at the time of a king named Paltsek. During that time, may I offer my attendance and listen to the liberating Dharma. His lifespan will be 1,066,000,000 aeons. During that time, may I offer continuous service and propitiation, and without failure uphold the liberating Dharma. Then Avalokiteshvara will pass into nirvana, and during a period of 600 million and further 3 billion aeons, the Dharma will be exposed by Vajrapani. During that time, may I remain inseparable from Vajrapani. Vajrapani will then appear as the Buddha Raptutempa at the time of a king named Yunten Norbut Sekpa. His lifespan will be of the same duration as the lifespan of Avalokiteshvara. During that time, may I offer continuous service, and by my offerings be able to uphold the liberating Dharma. Then may I instantly transfer my life to another pure realm, to obtain the highest perfection of the Buddha state. Having achieved the perfect Buddha state, may I, like Amitayus, be able to ripen and liberate all beings just by hearing my name. May I be able to guide sentient beings by countless emanations. May I accomplish boundless benefits for living beings effortlessly and spontaneously. O Amitabha, Dharmakaya of infinite brightness, the unlimited vitality, merit, quality, awareness, and brilliance of the Tathagata, Bhagavan, boundless vitality and awareness. It is declared that whoever takes refuge in your name will remain protected from all threats of fire, water, poison, weapons, nujins, sinpos, and so on, except for already ripened accumulated tendencies. As I prostrate to the refuge of your name, please grant me your protection against all fear and suffering. Please bestow your blessing for all auspiciousness, everything in plenty, by the blessing of the certainty of the three Buddha Kayas, by the blessing of the truth of the immutable Dharma, and by the blessing of the guidance of the unfailing Sangha. May these aspirations be accomplished as they have been offered. Okay, so long life prayers in the yellow prayer book, page 18, I believe. Okay. Yeah. So in Tibetan on 22.
Number 28. Om
Dashi Dele to all the Dharma friends around the world who are following us on the live stream.
Well, it's just so wonderful to be able to finish another auspicious winter teaching event with our beloved Garchen Rinpoche leading the way and sharing his direct, profound experience and imparting these beyond profound, precious teachings to us all. So we thank you with our whole heart and request that you have a very long life and continue to guide us. Thank you, Rinpoche. And thank you, Sangzar Tulku Rinpoche, for being here and blessing us with your presence. And please come again. And thank you, Drupal Rinchen Dorje Rinpoche, for teaching and all of your blessings with your practice. And thank you, Khenpo Tenzin, for all your Q&A and your wonderful teachings. Thank you, Lama Abu, for all the beautiful tormas and leading us in the practices in the morning and evening. And Lama Abu Bunima, thank you so much for leading us in the practices in the morning and evening, and thank you, Ani Samten, for watching Rinpoche's every move. And, and thank you, Ani Dagme, for being here and all your wonderful help. So we would like to thank the volunteers and everybody who made this event possible by pitching in and working so hard. And it was really a harmonious, wonderful retreat. So we thank everybody for their great effort and wonderful attitude and really practicing so well. So we have to start with the kitchen because we wouldn't all be still standing without Romy and Wenchi. So big thank you to the cooks and Ellie. Romy, Wenchi, and Ellie. So if you're in the kitchen, please come in and receive a gift from Rinpoche, and thank you gift. And so Ani Dagme, please come up, and thank you so much for all your help with the tormas and for the long life ceremony. And Barbara, the flower dakini. Where's Barbara? Yes, please come up. And Jan, for all of your wonderful video work, keeping everything going. And Elijah. Did Elijah leave? Oh, good. Here are the cooks. Yay. Here they come. If Elijah's here, please come. Oh, good. There, yeah. And James, you can go to Juanita. She's going to give the gifts there. And James, for all of his errands, he ran every single day for us. He was the real lifesaver. And Kevin, are you here? And Steve, our hot water man. Steve, And Tasia, there's Tasia. And Jordan, our bookstore Dhaka. Andrew, and Rita Yuen, and blue t-shirt, Zaki, and Monica. Is Monica here? There she is, and Kara. Is Kara here? And Robert, Yogi Bob Robert. And Nick Maxfield. Is Nick here? And of course, Diane. Wonderful Umse and Grace for all your chokin help. Thank you, dear. And then Helen with her great tea service. Is Helen here? Helen, please come in from the kitchen. Oh, is she here? Perfect. And Faiza. Smiley Faiza. Yay. And then Elizabeth and Darcy and Tamara. Thank you for all your help with the tea service. And then there are a few people that have already left. So Rocco, we thank him so much for all of his, oh, he's here still. Yay. For all of his Chinese translation, a lot of hard work there. And thank you to Terry. She was here in the beginning in the bookstore. And Aurora and Jesus. So thank you so much. They had to leave. All right. We hope you'll all come again. Our upcoming next programs are the Guru Rinpoche Retreat in March 13th to the 15th, and then there's March 22nd to 21st to the 22nd is Lopam Barbara Dubois' retreat on her new book that's just coming out on the 37 Bodhisattva practices. So it's an incredible commentary, and so that will be happening in March. And please, everyone, pick up a schedule in the hallway. Of course, we'll be super busy in February with Yamataka. So we hope to see you all again here very, very soon. And thank you all so much. Yeah.
One quick thing that I was asked to tell you all, the gifts that you were given, the volunteers, it's not a coaster. Okay? I was specifically told to tell you that. Okay. Also tonight, there will be no white Tara, and obviously the interviews, which were supposed to begin at 5:30, won't. They will begin later. We'll see how long it takes, okay?
And one last thank you to Ina for all of her hard work. Yeah. She's hanging on by a thin thread, and she did a great job.